Today on MTG Unpacked, we're going to take a look at how I did at Draft over the weekend with the Dominaria Draft event. And we'll go through my deck to see what I had there, a couple of comments about the games, and yeah, we'll go through the sideboard, see how things went. So let's get stuck into this. And one other thing is, this will not teach you how to draft. I actually have a Draft 101 video that I did back around the time of Rivals of Ixalan. So if you're curious about draft, you don't know what it's about, but you would like to learn, I'll put a link in the description to this video. So go check that out. So I did not do the best in this draft event over the weekend. It was on Saturday afternoon. There were 8 people total, just a single pod, and I went 1-2. So I won one game, or won one match rather. That was actually a bye, so I just sat that one out. And the other 2 were straight losses. There was one game in particular that I want to highlight shortly, but let's take a look at the promo card I picked up. So this was the Zahid Jinn of the Lamp, legendary creature Jinn, 5/6 for 6 mana, and you can see it's the draft weekend promo. So he's a legendary creature Jinn. You may pay 3 in an island and tap an untapped artifact you control rather than pay this spell's mana cost, and he has flying. So nice foiling on that one. So before I get into the main deck, let's take a look at the possibly misleading sideboard here, because the card on the top is black. I would commonly play black red, or just plain red, or some variation there. Those seems to be the colors I naturally gravitate towards. Maybe a blue black sort of thing. But this one did not fit in with my strategy. This was a leftover that I got from one of the cards that was passed to me. So I did not go black. However, if you guessed green and white, you would be correct, as you may have noticed Nissa and Ajani. So we'll start off with Adventurous Impulse. So I had 2 of those. Arbor Armament. Pierce the Sky, I had 2 of those. Broken Bond, and you'll notice there's a lot of low mana cost things here, so this was just what I was picking up. I didn't turn over my card pile to check the mana, but I think it worked out okay. So Ancient Animus, Corrosive Ooze, Gift of Growth, Sapling Migration, Nature's Spiral, Spore Swarm, and I'm doing these in order of the mana cost. Mammoth Spider, I actually had 2 of those. That was going to be a finisher. And then the artifact, I had an Aether Glider. Actually had 2 of those. My focus, I remembered my lessons from pre-release, and I was very much focused on getting flying creatures and some removal. So you may see that reflected in the cards I pulled here. Knight of New Benalia, Blessed Light, and was that? No, that wasn't a foil. And I picked up a ton of sapling tokens, because as you may see in a moment, I had a ton of those. I also got a soldier token. Yep, so not very exciting there. So let's have a look at the deck. See if I have this in the right order. Yep. Okay, so I want to focus first on the mana base. I went green white, and we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 forests, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 plains. I'm wondering if that could have been tweaked a little. I found that sometimes I was just getting plains, so I probably should have added 1 more forest there. I did have mana screw on a couple of games, which slowed me down substantially, even after mulliganing a couple of times. So then for the white, I have Gideon's Reproach, Seal Away, some nice removal there. Sarah Disciple, Sergeant at Arms, Dub, Pegasus Corsa, so I had 2 of those. Avon's Sentry, 2 of those. And it seemed like green and white were really open. I was able to get a lot of the picks I wanted. Some of the cards was a tough choice. It went around an extra time and I was able to pick up my second choice usually. Second time through. Lanois Elves, so 2 of those. And I'm not sure, this may have been one of the first cards. I sort of had in mind that I wanted to do a Sapling tribal type thing, but I was going to see how it would work out. And green and white, I don't typically do a lot with those colors, so it was something I was interested in trying. Lenoir Scout, so 2 of those. Corrosive Ooze, Sapling Migration, and that one's fun. You can create a bunch of saplings. Spore Crown Thalid, so he gives your fungus or saplings +1/+1. Elfheim Druid, Crusan Druid, Llanowar Envoy, Spore Swarm, so more sapling creation there. Grun the Lonely King, and he may have also been a deciding factor in going green early on. He was nice. There was one game he managed to attack for 20, but it really didn't help because the opponent was just blocking with their 1/1 warrior tokens. My goal there was really to just thin the board out on their side. It was a tough match. I'll talk about that shortly. And really you would need to accompany this with Trample to get some of that extra damage through, or have multiple blockers in place. Blackblade Reforge, this was fantastic when my opponent let me cast it. So a couple of people were playing control strategies, so they countered this when they saw it. Equipped creature gets +1/+1 for each land you control, and if you have a ton of lands, it gets out of control. Whack this on a flyer and you're in business. Equip legendary creature cost is only 3. Most of the time I had to equip for 7 for non-legendaries, but by that point I usually had a ton of lands, which made that very useful. And a Jousting Lance, so equipped creature gets +2/+0. As long as it's your turn, the equipped creature has first strike and you can equip for 3. That was another one they like to counter. Alright, so if we take a look at the breakdown here, so we have 17 lands. I'll separate artifacts and creatures and other spells. And I tried to keep things fairly balanced. Okay, enchantment, creature. Okay, so creatures, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 white creatures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 green creatures, so 17 creatures total. And everything else, I had 1, 2, 3 instants enchantments and 2 instants and sorceries for green, so that was what, 5 there. And then I added on the Blackblade Reforged Jousting Lance, so we got 7 non-creature spells in total. So then the first match, I don't think the opponent had anything too crazy, although they may have had the Shalai Angel. That's hard to remember now, because I was playing F&M and then the next day went to draft. But they had some really strong synergies there, pumping up creatures, some very strong removal. I think they were playing mono white, but I can't really remember, to be honest. So they cleaned up, won both games there. And then the second match was against a blue-white deck, I believe. First game, he cleaned things up nicely, and the second game went on for, I'm going to say, like 35 minutes. It was a long struggle. So if you imagine, this was a very strange thing to see in sealed limited format, where there were tons of these guys on the battlefield. There were soldiers, there were all sorts of creatures, and neither opponent could really do much because I had a whole bunch of my saplings, a whole bunch of elves, some flyers. They had some flyers, including, I think it's the Cloud Reader Sphinx. And yeah, a bit of back and forth. And what ended up happening was I got milled out. So the board was packed full of cards, and I was down to my last few cards. And then I said, okay, last card. I'm swinging with everything. But then they pulled a little card trick out where they gave everything like +2/+2 or something. And by the time you do all the calculations, I didn't really bother because it was clear I was not going to be able to get the 13 damage in that I needed. So that was a pretty crazy game. Now if we look at, so Blackblade Reforge was good, Jousting Lance was good, Seal Away, good for exiling cards. Gideon's Reproach, I don't think that came up very much. That would have been helpful to deal with some of the flyers. Dub, they did not like to let through, so Enchanted Creature gets +2/+2 and has first strike and is a knight in addition to its other types. The Saplings, so if we highlight those guys, that guy, yep. Okay, so the Saplings, so you get to Sapling Migration. I managed to kick this a few times. Create 2 1/1 green sapling creature tokens, and if the spell was kicked, create 4 instead. So kick a 4, you end up paying 6 mana total. And then Spore Swarm was just create 3 1/1 green sapling creature tokens. Then you have this guy out on the board, and he gives each creature you control that's a fungus or sapling +1/+1. So a bunch of +2s out on the board. That was pretty good. Had some nice mana ramping here with the Llanowar Elves. Llanowar Scout was good to get more land played per turn. People were usually attacking that pretty quickly. This one I used once. I kicked it because the life situation was looking pretty grim. If I can get it to focus. And I kicked it so I gained 10 life, but that was the game with the crowded field. So really, ultimately, I had enough life at the end, but I got milled out. Grun was pretty good. He came out once, but yeah, it would have been nice if he had Trample, so you would really need to augment him with some other spells. The Flyers were pretty good. Sergeant at Arms, not bad. And Flyers, the opponent liked to counter those or have their own Flyers and removal. So yeah, I could probably have done a little better with the removal. There weren't that many options for me. Like I said, I had Gideon's Reproach and Seal Away, and not too many other options here. And if we go back to the sideboard, see if anything could have helped. So exile target creature or enchantment. That's fairly costly. I don't know that that would have helped. Just a knight. A couple of gliders that can't block. Well, that wouldn't have been that helpful. Mammoth Spider with reach. He could have helped knock some flyers out. We've got another Spore Swarm. I didn't really need too many saplings. Returning cards from your graveyard to your hand. This would have been nice in a couple of occasions. Another sapling. Gift of Growth. That might have been handy, pumping up creatures. We've got another Corrosive Ooze. +1 there. Destroy target artifact or enchantment, that was not really the best. Pierce the Sky could have been good. So some of these things, yeah, there were other options, but really I think I picked the best of what was available in green and white as it came around. If I had gone different colors, who knows, maybe I've heard people were saying blue and white are perhaps some of the stronger colors in Dominaria. What are your opinions on this? Leave a note in the comments. Let me know what you think. If there's anything here you would have done differently. And how did you do at the draft event? Did you get some nice wins there? Some crazy games? But most of all, did you have fun? I'd be interested to hear all of your stories about that. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button for more Magic the Gathering unboxings, and be sure to tap the notification bell to be notified as soon as new videos are released. And one more thing, we recently passed 1,000 subscribers, so next weekend, that would be like the first weekend in May, we're going to have a live stream here to celebrate 1,000 subscribers. There will be a bunch of packs opened. There will be some previews of some sets and things I have planned in future videos. There will also be a couple of surprises. I know Jay Xing is very much excited for a face reveal. I'll have to think about that one. Maybe we'll have a Q&A, just some general sort of stuff. So, yep, stay tuned for that. Look forward to seeing you guys on the live stream next weekend, and have a great day.